Hello and welcome to another edition of After School Cinema Club. My name is Dylan. I am one of the hosts. I am the writer out of the group. I am joined by Jose, the director, and Vaughn, the actor. Good morning. We are now switching, I think, to a more of a Sunday morning schedule, which I think is going to bring a little bit different energy. Gentlemen, how are we feeling today?
I'm feeling good. I'm always feeling good because I've always been an early bird. So, so literally since like 5 years old, I'm like up by 7:30 at the absolute latest, unless something wild happened. In which case, I think like the latest I've ever woken up is like 8:45, maybe 9.
You've never woken up after 9.
Not unless something outrageous happened. Like if
Really?
I think about like prom, we like were out the whole night and I didn't get home until 6 a.m. and then like I woke up at like noon or whatever. But yeah, I'm just an early bird. So
I appreciate you beating the old allegations and being like, "Oh, I'm an early bird," and have been since 5.
I had to. I had to.
Jose,
I'm hanging in there. I'm hanging in there, man. I am not an early bird. I'm a night owl. Fell asleep at like 3:30 yesterday, and so we're here.
we are here.
We are here. Yeah.
Wait, 3:30 yesterday? Like this morning? Yesterday?
3:30 this morning. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Which is weird because like SF
cold shower and just like oof,
Is the SF night scene like that live?
No. The bar we were at the bar we were at died at like 11:30 midnight. So if anyone lives in SF, I went to Emporium last night. It's like a arcade
the barcade,
bar
I've been to Emporium.
Oh, no way. Yeah,
yeah.
It's lit. It's also a very San Francisco bar. It's so diverse in its demographic, but on a Saturday night at like 11:30, the population got snapped. Half the people left, and then overnight it just started becoming less and less. And then they do close at 2, which I appreciated because I'm used to the bars in LA like kicking people out at 2. I'm in there, man. I'm hanging in there.
Appreciate it.
I got the high score in a Galaga though.
Dang.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I want to brag
forever
for
the pod. You see that? No.
It's definitely in focus. So
there we go.
For the listening viewers, Jose is showing his Galaga high score. Should I show my my K1 speed racing results? Came in 3rd place. I also so just give a little bit of for those that don't know, K1 Speed is an electric go-kart, indoor electric go-kart like franchise, and they have a few of them in the LA area. And allegedly they go 45 miles an hour. They don't, just because like the way the track is laid out. But a dude hit me from behind so fucking hard, and I'm still in pain. Ooh. And just like it's not like crazy, but just like I pulled something in my like neck back area after that, which was like
signed
super
a waiver,
cool.
Dude.
I did sign a waiver, so it's just like part of the gang or part of the game.
How long ago was this?
Oh, on Friday. So it wasn't like that long. Yeah.
I mean, still
it was days. Friday night was the worst, and then I woke up Saturday and was like fine, and then like my neck started to hurt after, which I just think was like how I slept because I had to like sleep a little bit differently. And then this morning I still like I feel it a little bit, but like I just take we have a little back massager, and it just like kind of takes care of it.
Icy hot, dude.
So yeah, I haven't had to worry about like icy hot since like high school football. I never really get hurt or injured. I never really pull muscles all that much. Like even like when we play soccer, every now and then it might like my hammy might feel a little strained, but it's never anything too serious.
Yeah, whenever you get that crick in your neck because you fell asleep wrong, icy hot just fix that right up, dude. I love it.
Shout out icy hot.
Is it weird if I like the smell?
I like the smell of gasoline. Yeah. People sometimes like weird smells.
Oh.
Anyways, this episode is brought to you by Icy Hot. Is there a civil war in your body? Make sure to get Icy Hot.
The copyrights, I mean, leave it to the writer, but well done.
So if you can't already tell, we're going to be talking about a couple things today. We're going to talk about most of the news is going to be CinemaCon. Basically, that is like Comic-Con or any of the other cons, but specifically for movies. It's a little bit more on like the businessy side, so it's kind of just like a lot of like directors and filmmakers showing off their projects to hopefully then get distributed by some of the bigger studios. And then it's also like just a lot of schmozzing with like movie theater people. So we're going to talk about that news. And we're also going to be talking about Alex Garland's Civil War, which came out on Thursday. A very intense, based on Vaughn's sighing, A24 movie. It's one of their, if not their biggest movie ever. I think it's their biggest movie ever, $50 million budget. And we're going to be talking about that after the fact. So please stick around for that. We're going to have a lot of thoughts. But I guess, gentlemen, first thing I want to talk about for CinemaCon, what of the news that you've seen are you kind of most excited about?
Can I speak for Vaughn on this one and say the Transformer stuff?
Okay, good. Literally, as I open my mouth, Transformers 1.
That's what it's called? Is it like a prequel?
It is. Prequel where, as you might imagine, Optimus Prime and Megatron, before they are Optimus and Prime and Megatron, are friends.
Oh my god. This is like a real Magneto Professor X situation we got here.
And Megatron gets a little too ambitious and we see everything unfold. I'm excited.
Dang. Does Megatron corrupted. Like show his wrist and is like, no one will mark me again?
He reveals his chassis or something. I don't know.
Whoa. It's got his VIN number on it.
But fun thing, Optimus Prime, or before he's Optimus Prime, this Orion Pax, I think his name is, or something like that. Orion Pax is going to be voiced by Chris Hemsworth, and we have D16, I think was Megatron's name before he became Megatron. He's going to be voiced by Brian Tyree Henry, who will stay with a job. Let me tell you, that man knows how to keep a job.
Yeah. I respect him. He's like, I will jump in, I will grab a bag, and then I will go back to my like artsy project and just back and forth. Real quick,
swing, brother.
It cut out for me for just a sec. I just missed who the voice was for Optimus. I just want to know personally.
Chris Hemsworth, which is I get it from like an industry standpoint, money making standpoint. I would want somebody, because Liam Neeson is Welsh. No, where's he from? Scotland.
He's Irish. How dare you?
I knew it was somewhere up there.
Just to give a little bit of Irish lore, starred in the biggest Irish box office movie of all time, Michael Collins, about the man who fought for Irish independence against the English Empire. Thank you very much.
Okay.
There's also Qui-Gon Jinn.
Also
Qui-Gon Jinn. My favorite Jedi? ?
Whoa.
Yeah, Qui-Gon's cool. Qui-Gon's like the cool priest.
Yeah, I just remembered in the Star Wars, the tie-in game that they had, Qui-Gon had a special ability where you could heal, and that was like one of the few ways you could actually heal in the game. Anywho, it's just, I mean, to your point, Dylan, kind of, sort of, with me not knowing where Liam Neeson's from, I was gonna be like kind of halfway offended that like Chris Hemsworth, who's definitely from Down Under, is like doing the voice. And I was wondering if they couldn't get somebody even of note who has like the same, dialect as Liam Neeson, versus both of them kind of meeting in the middle and doing like a more flat English accent.
Yeah, that's a weird. I wonder. I just don't know why Liam Neeson wouldn't take the bag unless he wanted a higher bag. I guess they just want a younger voice. Yeah. I mean, okay.
Wait, can I interrupt for a sec?
Yeah.
Why is Liam Neeson in this conversation? That he doesn't voice Optimus Prime.
Wait, who voiced Optimus Prime?
It's Peter Cullen, dude.
My God.
Fake fan.
Who's Peter?
Fake fan. Peter Cullen is Optimus Prime, dog. That's him.
I was gonna say like when you were just saying Liam Neeson, and I was like, wow, that's really good voice acting because that doesn't sound like Liam
No,
Neeson.
that's not. That's not Liam Neeson.
How did I get
No,
that wrong?
Peter Cullen is Optimus Prime. He's been Optimus Prime for a minute, dude.
No.
So when you're bringing up
way.
Liam Neeson, I'm like, what? In what iteration did he voice Optimus Prime?
That
Like,
is just some peak white people face blindness by Vaughn right here.
Voice blindness, if anything. Peter Cullen. Wow.
Peter Cullen.
Okay.
Yes.
I had to see this for myself. My bag, P.
And he's Eeyore.
Mm-hmm.
Iconic.
Peter Cullen, also Irish.
Oh.
No,
Another
he's
point for Dylan
Canadian.
if you needed it.
Oh, Canadian of Irish descent. Okay, fair.
Please know that I am 2 steps ahead of you in this research because I was 4 steps behind in the initial call.
Okay, so Transformers prequel. I'm indifferent to the Transformers franchise. I never really watched it as a kid. I know it is near and dear to Vaughn's heart. I like the first few movies. Shout out Shia LaBeouf. That's all I really got on Transformers.
You know, watch Beast Wars?
I'd want to. I did miss it. I feel bad because Vaughn was like so into it, and we didn't go see it together. I wanted to see it with him, but I think either I was in DC or you were in DC. One of us was on vacation when the other person saw it.
Yeah,
because I was there with you when you saw the trailer, and that's the most animated I've ever seen you, like, in your life.
and I didn't know I had that in me.
Yeah.
To go from like 0, which for me is like a 5, to 100, which was like a 12, was like, yeah, it was. I didn't know that I cared that much. And then, I mean, to be honest, they didn't quite deliver on what I was expecting because everybody, I mean, this is what they tend to do, and I think this a lot of it is the marketing. Is they look at we keep talking about this, with these franchises. There's the thing they know works, and then they try to deviate from the formula a little bit, and if it is not successful, they then revert back to what works. And I feel like that's a bit of what's happening here. Is like they're like, people, we know they love Optimus, we know they hate Megatron, so let's just do that again, but different.
So
I want to. No, you go.
I think, and damn, Dylan, you really should have seen Transformers Beast Wars, but there's 2 movies in the works. There's Transformers 1, which is like a prequel / I'm assuming unrelated. I think it's animated, actually. And then there's the huge spoilers, by the way. There's the Transformers X G.I. Joe movie that will be a sequel to Beast Wars. You just had to be there. You had to be there at the Pack Theater opening weekend when the guy gets a business card and then flips. It was a Pack Theater. Excuse me.
It was a Pack Theater.
It was a Pack Theater.
I apologize.
You were on vacation somewhere, nerd.
Not watching a movie.
I was getting my last glimpse of downtown DC before it was destroyed.
Too soon, actually.
Are they the same? Are they owned by the same company, Transformers and G.I. Joe?
Hasbro.
Perfect. Yeah. That makes sense. I'm not like, I'm sure there's probably people that are very mad about that, but you also could tell me if I'm like a kid of the 80s that like played with G.I. Joes and played with Transformers, like the idea of like both of those being together is like, that would be like super cool. I didn't play with Transformers or G.I. Joes really as a kid, but like I had like, if I'm thinking like Legos or Micro Machines or like any of the other things that I played with as a kid and like creating different worlds in there.
If you would have seen that reveal in a packed theater, your jaw
definitely
your jaw dropped, dude. And I was so giddy and so excited to just randomly throw in this connection to G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
Is Channing Tatum back?
Probably not.
So, because we're fully spoiling this.
Let's get the spoilers for Transformer Rise of the Beasts.
The thing is, it's an earlier story in and of itself because it takes place in the 90s. So the fact that they have this, they're like setting up this crossover. They may jump ahead or jump back, but I then think we have to weigh in the real world is who's going to be more of a draw: Anthony Ramos, who starred in the Rise of the Beast movie, or Channing Tatum, who was was he in the second GI
No,
Joe?
because that isn't that like the whole that was that a big controversy? Was that like he's not, or maybe it was the opposite?
Now
He
I
was
can't
like they
remember
killed
what
him and then they brought
happened.
him back. Sorry for people that are really big fans of those movies.
Hey, there's 3 GI Joe fans in the world out there. I
Damn.
don't think people
And I
like
know one
GI
of them.
Joe.
Actually, I did it. I hopped on his podcast, and as a thank you, he gave me a Doc figurine, GI Joe figurine,
Oh, that's really
Whoa.
sweet.
and he sits on my desk and watches over me while I work. So there are some Joe fans out there. They exist.
The other
Joe
kind of thing
Jonas
from
fans.
the other thing from CinemaCon that at least I thought was, I don't know about interesting, but it was newsworthy. Margot Robbie is going to be producing a Monopoly movie, and I guess this is just going to kind of fall in line of like, hey, we made a Barbie movie, now we're going to make a Monopoly movie. I don't really know how I feel about it. It just seems like this is going to be maybe the next thing where we're just taking a lot of popular IP. I feel like it's going to be a commentary on the housing market, which, hey, look, if they want to talk about all these banks buying up single family homes so that we can't, I'm all for it. But something tells me this might be a little not about that. What do y'all think?
Yeah, if you give me like a political commentary on capitalism and monopolizations of corporations and mergers and acquisitions and demolishing houses to build hotels, oh, for sure. But it's probably not going to be that.
I mean, all of this is sort of ironic because the original Monopoly game was meant to draw attention to how abusive the uh, uh, capitalism system is, and for us to be, for them to be creating a
Get out of here with that
movie,
woke
which
nonsense.
for us to be creating a movie which will then make crazy amounts of money, and like what other forms of capitalism and like the system of punishment that we live in, just the irony is right there, and I'm here for it.
Like
I think it'll be
at a
good.
certain point, I was just going to say at a certain point in the game of Monopoly, it makes sense to go to prison so you don't pay taxes.
I got
And
you.
what do you mean? Is Margot
I'm,
Robbie like 50 turns in, owns half the board? She's like, you know what? Fuck it. Let me just stay in jail.
I saw a thing on Twitter from this being announced, which I didn't know, and it was someone talking about the monopoly rule that no one follows, which is if you land on a property and choose not to buy it, you have to
Goes to
auction it,
auction.
which I didn't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So
Sounds like a
Also,
hassle.
trading's not a part of the game. Like trading properties, that's not a
Oh,
part of the original game.
oh, I never did that.
You never
you
traded.
never
How do you
traded
get your
properties?
monopolies then?
Yeah, dude.
Luck
That's
of
what
the draw,
draws
babe.
the game out. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm cutting deals the minute we start rolling dice. Like before anybody
For
has any
sure.
properties,
For sure. Like Vaughn, we're on the same side of the board. Let's go ahead and take over our side, and then when it
Yeah.
comes down to it, we'll go ahead and hash things out.
Yeah.
Oh, you landed on my
Well,
space. Here's a free rent. Like, don't worry.
Now,
about
now
it.
the
Like,
turf war starts.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's the
You
point.
establish alliances. You find somebody in a moment where they're down. You go, tell you what, I'll let you pass on the rent. Give me electric company. It's great.
Control the railroads. Maybe nudge the banker a little bit.
Alrighty.
Sell off property you know is not going to make anything to people who are none the wiser. It's great.
Ooh, okay. Hey, hot take. Do y'all play the Browns or do y'all play the Blues?
Blues all
What?
day.
I play the Browns.
Like you're talking about like the first few like properties right
Yeah,
after
do
go,
you play-
or like
do you play the
boardwalk
Catch
and-
up, Dylan.
Look, man, when he goes, "Hey, do y'all play the Browns?" I'm like, "Where is this conversation going?"
And I'm with it. I'm like caught up.
I mean, it's what you have to go for Broadway. It's Broadway and Pike Place, yeah,
Park Place.
Park Place.
It's a fool's goal. A fool's goal going for no, not Broadway. Boardwalk and Park Place. What you want to do is prioritize. This is from a pro Monopoly player. You want to prioritize the first half of the board because there is statistically people people are going to be more likely to do that first half. So anything up to what is that, New York Ave, the orange properties, all
Mhm.
of that is going to be tough, especially because there are so many cars that send people to jail. So they skip getting money, but then when they roll, are going to be more likely to hit something on that second street. So the pinks and
Makes
the
sense.
oranges. But between the two, there is a card that sends you straight to one of the browns. I forget the one, but that
Mhm.
will, even if you put hotels on it, you're not actually getting. It's not. It's
It's
cheap, but it's not worth the investment. So
no,
I'm a
it's
blues
chip
guy.
damage. It's chip damage because
I think I
people
can.
don't land on the blue. Like you're right. If someone lands on a blue, like that's immediate, like immediate foreclosure. Like let me sell off some things if you play it
Yeah,
right. But again, like what are the odds that someone's gonna make it all the way to Broadway? I think the Blues, that the Browns. I play the Browns, but I understand the oranges and the reds. That little corner,
yeah,
that corner goes hard.
absolutely.
And that was after school board game club.
That was Econ Club. Don't know how we got there, but oh yeah, Margot Robbie. Yeah, I mean, I feel
Margot
like they
Robbie.
will find a compelling narrative there. I'll be there. I'm not gonna lie. There are very few movies I don't
She's
see.
got all the power after Barbie. She's got like, you know what I mean? I could totally see a studio just wanting to let her have control,
Yeah,
after Barbie, so we'll see.
and the in the court of public opinion, that so many people do feel like she was robbed uh, from the Oscars. That
Robbie.
uh, how dare you? How dare you? She was Margot robbed, and yeah, I think she'll get the support she needs.
All right, what else from CinemaCon do y'all want to talk about?
um,
I've got a
I guess I
small
wanna I
thing.
wanna.
Just I don't know how true this is, but I can't find the quote again. But essentially, when they I think they showed like 9 minutes of Deadpool and Wolverine at CinemaCon, and I can't remember exactly what he said, but like Kevin Feige swore
I
during
saw
like
that.
the yeah, I don't know if he was like, we're so fucking excited or something, but just yeah, interesting that obviously with this R-rated property and now it all being integrated in the MCU and everything coming together, that like we're kind of playing a little fast and loose with the language. I support it.
I mean, I think it's what you have to do. Like if they were to try to step in and make Deadpool PG-13, it's just that's one of the worst decisions they could have made. It's just like there's
Yeah,
all that you would have to do is sit in front of Bob Iger and be like, "Hey, this movie made this much money, and then the second movie made this much money, and if we take it away, it's going to make like this much money." And they're just gonna be like, "Yeah, sure."
yeah. It's not that the movie itself is R-rated. It's that like they're kind of doubling down, and now the head of the studio is
Yeah,
like he's not required to swear or curse
yeah,
during like that moment, but like it does, I feel like, add more of its authenticity, or like say like, no, we
absolutely,
really do back this thing. We're not
definitely,
just
definitely.
like adding it in, and we're like folding it in actually.
And I think that's like you can do that at CinemaCon, where it's like the
Yeah,
people that are going to CinemaCon like are the psycho, the people that are going to like be going to Vegas for this like super niche, movie theater
Well,
event. It's not like it's D23 or maybe Comic Con where it's going to be like a bigger audience.
wider audience. Yeah, yeah,
You're going to have kids and like it's a whole other different thing. So this is a thing of where like that's going to make the news a little bit, but it's not like Timmy and Jimmy are going to be like seeing this, you know?
yeah.
I think with that too, there was a quote where I think Ryan Reynolds was like, the only thing that Kevin Feige said was off limits is Coke, and like this movie like this has everything, or they pushed the boundaries as to what Disney allowed them to do,
So
which is
strictly
exciting.
Pepsi product placement, you're saying?
Yeah, the
Boo.
Disney company is buying PepsiCo.
This is a
Just to
Keurig
put them
Dr.
out of
Pepper
business.
household.
But I wanted to bring up John Wick Presents Ballerina and the whole behind the scenes um
I don't know a lot about it, so
concerns.
please.
We
So,
got Anna de Armas kicking people in the throat.
well, so John Wick.
I'm sold.
We all agree John Wick's like, you know, peak.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's an iconic franchise for cinema moving forward. I mean, our last ep on Monkey Man talks about how it influenced a lot of that. And so, I mean, corporations for corporation's sake are going to milk a franchise. And so, apparently, the Peacock show, John
The
Wick,
Continental.
the Continental, yeah, was just 100% a cash grab, and like did not consult any of the original people on it. Just
Oh
because
wow.
Lionsgate was like, let's go ahead and fucking pump something out in this John Wick universe. And so I feel like this new John Wick movie, again, because it's like John Wick presents Ballerina, um, might have similar tones to me. Like y'all know my take on Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw, and for the John Wick purists out there, if they see John Wick presents Ballerina and it's not like their expectations, like, this is just a gender swap John Wick, I'm sure there'll still be some freaks out there who will like, you know, give it shit. But I mean, if it's done good, or if it does something different for the franchise or for the genre, then I'll be on board. What do
Yeah.
y'all think?
The only thing that I'll say is just because I think it just was announced that they are pushing it back.
No.
Because from my understanding is they're like adding much more to it after the success of the newest John Wick movie. So like we'll see. I think Anna de Armas in No Time to Die, which I think is not a good James Bond movie, I thought she was great. I was actually very surprised at how good she was, especially more from like the action scenes. So it's one of those things of I think if you just like market it as, hey, this is Anna de Armas as a ballerina kicking ass, there are lots of horny dudes that are just going to go see that movie. Like they're and it's in the John Wick universe. Like let's just go see the movie. It's just one
Yeah.
of the like it's just I think it might not make maybe as much money, but it's definitely still going. I feel to bring it in. And I think the other thing, and I don't 100% know this, but I'm pretty sure I think his name is like Chad Stefesky or whatever his name is, the guy that directed the John Wick movies. I think Lionsgate has now put him in some kind of like content role where he's like overseeing these things. So I think they learned their mistake and they're now just kind of like reshaping all of that because I think they wanted to just try to pump it out. And to your point around the Continental, just kind of blew up in their face.
Yeah, I think it's got enough to appeal to everyone. I Something I've not seen from the John Wick universe yet is like a compelling female character. So there's no evidence that they know what they're doing, they know how to make this pop, but
Ruby Rose, maybe?
big maybe.
I guess the benefit is if she's the main character, it's just a compelling main character. So they don't
Yeah.
necessarily like it's not a thing of where it's just like I think it's very easy for like secondary and tertiary, especially female characters, to just be very one note. I feel
Yeah.
like it's a little bit more difficult to do it when it's a main character. I mean, Nolan is like famous for this, you know.
So like in my opinion, I think the John Wick movies are great for their action. I don't necessarily care for the story. I mean, it's a bit of a meme, right? It's like, oh, you killed this guy's dog and now he's after you. And then
Yeah.
he's 4 movies in and he's still after you. For one reason or another. So like why do you need a strong, compelling character? Because like Keanu Reeves, not a good actor, but he just plays a great John Wick because he just says his one liners and
I'm
his
gonna
like
like
super
I'm gonna push so far against that.
dude. Listen, I love The Matrix as much as anybody else. I love Speed, the movie with the bus. And I love him in Cyberpunk. I think Cyberpunk is probably one of his greatest roles as Johnny Silverhand throughout the game. But there are times where it's just Keanu doing Keanu, and I'm just like, man, put your emotion into it, especially
And
with voice
see,
acting. You know,
yeah. Well, okay. Dylan, you go because I know you're on fire.
I just this isn't me being like, hey, Keanu Reeves has a lot of range. I don't think he has a lot of range as an actor, but in these types of action movie roles, it works. There is a star quality to that. And The Matrix, especially the first one, Matrix is one of the greatest movies of all time. Certainly one of the greatest action movies of all time. Not only because of Keanu Reeves, but he's the straw that makes the rest of that drink, mix. Like he's the the anchor to all of that. So that's all. Like I'm not here being like, hey, this guy can do so many different types of roles and everything like that, but he does have that certain quality to it where you just see him and it clicks.
Yeah, for me, and I admittedly, I'm pulling from somebody else's analysis of his body of work, but I see it a lot, which is there is an emptiness. That's not the right. There's a
I know what you mean.
blankness to his performance that is can be used for to slot you in. So as you're watching him, like, yeah, not only are you rooting for him and the decisions he makes, but because he has a more flat delivery on everything, you feel like you're the hero in that way. Um, and I think we especially see that with the Matrix, because I feel like that is one of his, well, the Matrix and then John Wick. Those are more of his more flat like deliveries, and then we get to feel like we're the hero. We're not just rooting for him; we're rooting for ourselves because we are then projecting ourselves onto him.
Also, like
It's
from
just
from who he is as a person, real quick, sorry. I don't know if you know like his personal life, but like after
he's
the
like a
Matrix
super
came out,
cool guy, right?
not only that, after the Matrix came out, his child was born stillborn, and then
Oh,
he and his wife kind of like or girlfriend or partner broke up and then reconciled, got back together, and then like right after they got back together, she died in a car accident like a year after their daughter died. So like he has some pretty wild like personal life kind of shit also. So I just think it's like maybe it might just be like sometimes why that he might be a little like emotionally absent is just like there's been some intense shit. And he was born in Beirut, so I'm gonna defend my guy.
are you just trying to make me look like an asshole, dude?
No, you didn't know. You didn't
and,
know.
and to
But my
Jose's
opinion doesn't change.
defense, yeah, I was gonna
And I
say
still don't
that
care about all that.
you could be more compassionate to the stance, but I don't feel like Jose was especially like rude or
No,
egregious.
not at
But
all.
like
By no means.
none of that necessarily makes him or justifies him being, to Jose's description, a bad actor.
Okay, he's not a bad actor, but he's very flat, and it's frustrating. I mean, dude, you go watch Matrix 4. It's like, oh my god, dude, like, come on,
And
like
we got
change it
Matrix
up.
5 on the way.
Matrix 5 and in John Wick like 3 and 4, it was just so like, I need a gun, or like, does the suit
Yeah,
come in brown or whatever he says?
cool.
Does it
Like,
come in
yeah,
black? But he's kind of
yeah.
doing that's like the point too, though. It's like it is self-aware, I feel personally. That's why I think it works. And the real quick, the only thing I
It's
wanted to
unique.
say, the thing that I appreciate about the John Wick movies is how they actually build that universe, which is ridiculous, but it works somehow. It all kind of fits together. And whereas like something where Godzilla versus Kong, to me, I don't think it works as well. Whereas sometimes in these kind of universes, when you're creating this, it can go one of two ways. And I think to John Wick's credit, it's nailed it.
Excommunicado.
Yeah.
Um, Another thing that from CinemaCon, by the way, that I wanted to bring up, especially since it's literally within arm's reach, the Last Ronin,
The last Ronin, that was huge.
uh,
That was
Oh
huge.
Teenage Mutant Ninja
yeah.
Turtles. It's a newer story. I want to say from the late 2000s, um, where essentially all we know in the first issue is that uh, 3 of the 4 turtles have died. There's this huge war. It's not quite post-apocalyptic, but the last turtle that survives uses all 4 weapons. And as you're like reading through
that's
it,
so cool.
you don't know, because he wears a black mask. You don't know which one he is, but as we continue on, we realize which turtle was the last surviving
Don't
turtle.
say who it is.
Oh, I will
I
not.
don't know.
Absolutely will not.
Man,
Don't say, just don't say. I don't know. And that sounds cool. Give this to me.
Do you want to borrow my copy of it?
Yeah. Oh, I didn't mean give this to me. Like, give me the. I meant just like let me have this moment of not knowing who it is. But I'll take. I'll down to read it too.
For sure. But they're getting a live action R-rated version. There's no way you couldn't do this R-rated. Live action
Wow.
R-rated movie for The Last Ronin.
That's really cool.
they're making a video game too.
Indeed.
Oh, that sounds dope. If you do it in like the
Mhm.
Batman Arkham kind of style, I think that would be so cool.
Is Warner Brothers doing the Last Ronin video game?
I don't know, because I know there already was a lot of, because like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles wound up in Mortal Kombat, right?
Oh, really?
And I know there was already the
Uh,
Mortal Kombat versus DC, so I think
Oh,
there
yeah.
is a thread there that can like link all of it together.
Yeah, but if you give me the mechanics of like Shadow of Mordor or the Batman Arkham games, like the Y to counter, similar to like Spider-Man, in that kind of
Yeah.
realm, I feel like that would be so cool, especially with like the different weapon types. I think that would
Yeah.
work so well.
The game writes
So-
itself, basically.
It was released, or not released. It was announced last year in 2023. Is coming to PC, Xbox, and PlayStation.
What studio?
That's what I was looking up. Black Forest Games, but I don't really know
I don't know.
Black Forest
Yeah.
Games. Hold on, let me. Black
Like,
Forest Games. They
only
did.
Black Forest I know is the Gummy Bears.
It's THQ.
Oh, THQ Nordic. Okay. Oh yeah. Oh, so they did Destroy All Humans 2, I guess.
Oh, looks so they did the remakes of them because those are relatively old games.
Ooh. Hey, if they've got the, because I think THQ is under Sony's like banner of like cycling developers. If
Mhm.
they have the Sony money and the Sony patience to make it right, I'm all for it. But looking through their
Wait,
history,
you said the Sony
I'm not-
patience?
Yeah,
I mean, they're
Sony has
video games.
patience.
They take forever. You know what I mean? They don't even have.
That's
a
true.
Yeah,
Okay,
they have
got
patience.
it, got it.
They don't. I don't think
I'm
they
just
have a
thinking
video
about a
game
lot of
coming
Sony
out
films.
in 2024.
No.
Yeah. Oh, if Sony films were run the way that like PlayStation was run, are you kidding me?
Or their TVs or their audio equipment.
Sony films is awful, man. Sorry if anyone from Sony's listening, but figure it the fuck out, man. We want to like your shit. We want to.
THQ has had a lot of hands.
I don't
and a
even
lot
think
of pots,
that's like.
so-
I think it's fake THQ now. I think it's like they like thought THQ went
Yeah.
out of business, and then this was just like a phoenix that rise from a different ash pile.
Yeah, there are a lot of good games on here. On the THQ, like, their About Me page, but there's also a lot of not good games.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I think the
Anywho,
potential is there. If
we'll see.
if they hire the devs from either the Spider-Man or Arkham games, like I think the potential is there to make a really, really fun, game.
So,
And if they time it right, they'll get a lot of cross
hey,
activity or whatever.
bring back the video game movie tie-in,
Yeah, man.
or the
The
video
Star
game
Wars
for the
and
movie
Lord
tie-in.
of the Rings games were great.
Dude, the
so
King
good.
Kong game was so fun.
Yeah, Peter Jackson's King Kong the movie, the game.
Peter Jackson's King. Yep.
Is that the news?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Alrighty, so I guess we'll jump into Civil War. So in normal
gosh.
kind of
I forgot that's the
fashion,
thing we were doing here.
We're going to talk about the non-spoilery part first, then jump into spoilers. I guess real quick, for those that do not know, so Civil War, it's a movie by Alex Garland. Don't know who Alex Garland
Captain
is.
America, Iron Man, Spider-Man.
Spoilers. Captain America Civil War. But for those that don't know, Alex Garland wrote 28 Days Later. He also wrote and directed Ex Machina, Annihilation, and Men as well. a lot of these movies have something all in common. It's a kind of near future, borderline post-apocalyptic kind of world. Not as much an ex machina from an apocalyptic standpoint, but they all are like, hey, wouldn't this idea be kind of weird? And then expand on it. It's a movie about the Second American Civil War. Basically, California and Texas have joined together to fight the Loyalist states, which is basically most of the Midwest and New England. And then Florida is a separate. Florida's kind of a separate group that seems to just be another army that is just kind of fighting. It is a really, really intense movie, and that's all I'm going to give you, just kind of as a background of it. I'm more kind of curious, non-spoilery wise. What did y'all think?
I loved it. I wish I wish they would give more context as to why things are the way they are, and I don't know how non-spoiler I can get with this.
Yeah, we can talk about that in the spoiler section. I think.
Yeah, it was amazing. I didn't know what it was going to be going into it, and then actually like experiencing it was pretty intense for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't. Is it a thriller? Is it action? Is this what would you kind of like put your
to me this is a thriller.
A thriller?
Yeah. So Dylan and I caught this film together, and our screening had some folks doing like taking surveys and like, oh, fill out the survey, you'll get like a $5 gift card or whatever.
Still haven't gotten my gift card.
Me either. I think they just wanted my data. But one of the questions in the survey was like, how would you like classify, what genre would you classify, or genre or genres? And I said a war movie and also thriller, like a war thriller. Action is questionable. I don't know, and maybe it's because I only think of action as like martial kind of things happening versus like, yes, there are guns and like guns get shot.
Loud.
But it's
there's
loud.
Sequences. There's action sequences.
But I wouldn't classify that as an action movie. Like and maybe and there probably is like a technical description for this, but if the action is a vehicle to get the hero or like our main character through a problem, then yes, but I don't think that's necessarily the case here, and so I wouldn't classify it as action.
Yeah, it's a road trip thriller.
A road trip thriller. I love that. That's
the tag. Yeah,
that's it. That's the non-spoilers.
I adored it. I guess Vaughn can probably jump in real quick, actually, just kind of finish his thoughts, because I know how he felt about this movie.
So okay, there's a range, right, of films that people go see, and this is very much outside of the range of what I would normally go see. And I've noted, like, as the movie ended, I was very quiet for a long time.
Almost the entire credits.
Oh, was it that long?
Because think about it, we were there until after they had the like Windows XP. We saw the behind the scenes of how the Dolby Theater functioned.
Shout out to Windows XP.
But I think one of the first things I did say to Dylan was, "You owe me."
Yeah.
Because on the range of films that we've seen and then also like been reviewing, a lot of them have been on the more intense side. Like I'd say Monkey Man was my threshold in terms of like how intense like a movie can be. And I'm still okay.
And this blew this out of the water.
Yeah.
Blew that out of the water.
And so
I want to apologize, Vaughn.
I apologize profusely. There was one point in the movie I put my hand on his shoulder.
And we're gonna get into all of it. Like, and I will say I love this movie. Like it is incredible. If I never watch it again, it'll be too soon. Like it's so good, but I don't know if I can endure that again.
And I think that's like the nicest compliment that I think you can give, that it can garner that kind of reaction out of you. And even for me, I am incredibly desensitized to violence. Incredibly desensitized. This is one of the most brutal movies that I have ever seen. Like there were certain times where I just could not believe what was really happening. I think for Vaughn and I, it was also just taken to another level real quick, where just they show parts of DC, and it's not shot in DC, and it looks like from what they shot it in Atlanta and London. I don't know how they made wherever they were shooting it look like downtown DC, but they did an excellent job in the like from a production standpoint, from street signs to like parking signs, bus stops,
Bus
even like
signs,
the numbers on the building. The numbers on the building looked like what they looked like where they were shooting it. It was so fascinating how real it looked. And as someone that worked outside of DC, and you can maybe like give that face, but just
No.
the, oh.
I just didn't realize. I completely forgot that you guys are both spent time in DC. Vaughn, you grew up over there, so oh my god, dude, I am so sorry. Oh my god.
It took it to a whole other level. Like it was
Yeah,
like,
I
because I'm with
bet.
Davina
Holy
too.
shit.
Davina born and raised in DC also, and it was just like it was unbelievable, like just unfathomable how much it felt like you were there. I worked a few blocks away from there. I lived off of 16th Street, 2 miles above the White House. So like everyone thinks about like Pennsylvania Avenue. It's also 16th Street. If you just walk down 16th Street, you were gonna hit the lawn of the White House. That's where like Black Lives Matter Plaza is and everything like that. So it was just like it was very surreal how much it just felt like I was there. Ugh.
Yeah. And so there were moments, again, still staying in the like non-spoilery area. There were entire sequences, maybe 20 minutes of stretch, where I had to like had a mantra going in my head, like, this is not real, this is a movie, this is not real, this is a movie, this is not real, this is a movie, because it's so visceral and raw. Um, I I appreciate, and this is maybe like me like dipping a toe into like spoilers, but um, we were following Kirsten Dunst and a team of people who are the press, and there's a quote pretty early on when they say like our job isn't to have form an opinion. We take the shot and we let people, like we let others, like we don't form the questions. We take the picture and let others form those questions. And so there is this like neutral stance of them as they're like going throughout. We don't know what necessarily their politics are, but watching all of it, I very much got a sense of that, like that I'm forming a lot of opinions as I'm watching, and somebody else is who has a different, political makeup or mindset could be watching it and pulling something wildly different from all of it. And people, the folks that they encounter on this road trip, some of the folks I'm like more of a fan of, and I'm sure there's somebody else who would hate those people. And some of the folks I was much less of a fan of, and I'm sure some people would applaud or celebrate those folks. But
I'm a big Jesse
I
Plemons
do
guy.
appreciate. Say again.
I said I'm a big Jesse Plemons guy.
Please elaborate.
No,
What?
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Okay. I was gonna say I'm a fan of Jesse Plemons as the actor.
Yeah.
The character he portrayed in this film is terrifying because
Yeah.
he's real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the thing. All these characters, so brilliantly written. Everybody is real.
Yeah. I think too the last thing I'll just say from a non-spoiler standpoint, if you have the ability to see this in either IMAX or Dolby, I've seen a lot of people hype up IMAX. I personally am gonna hype up for Dolby. You feel everything. Every sound is like pounding you in the chest. It was unbelievable, and I'm gonna see the movie again in that format just because it was so unique.
Yeah, definitely want to go out there and see it in Dolby. Did see it in like an IMAX esque. Like it did have the taller borders, but it wasn't IMAX, the giant
It's
screen.
IMAX.
Yeah, Limax. Yeah, it was shot wonderfully, almost like documentary esque, but it was still very like movie, right? If it had like that shaky cam kind of boots on the ground, for more of what was there, I think it would have been there would have been a different message, and I think it would have messed up the formatting of what this movie is. But I appreciated the mix of both, boots on the ground and also standard cinema framing, cinematography.
Yeah, there are so many sequences in this movie that felt like you could just snag a frame and that could be like a gorgeous picture by itself.
I
Um,
mean,
Literally.
yeah, minor spoilers.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else to say before we jump into spoiler land.
Real quick, if you were going to go into this movie and you want your politics validated, like check that at the door. This is not this kind of movie, and I say that as an incredibly progressive person. This movie is not to validate like progressives or right-wing extremists. This is not the point of the movie. A lot of the reviews and criticisms I feel are from people that wanted that to happen, and that only like kind of to me furthers the point of the movie. So that's all else that I'm going to say from a
And
spoilery or non-spoilery standpoint.
yeah, and I wanna dig into that conversation because I mean California and Texas are together, which should kind of give you some idea as to why your politics don't matter. Because
Right.
the decision to secede is not the one that you might think. And this part goes into what I wish they explored a bit more, because I was a bit confused. If I didn't know the context, I would be confused, and if I wasn't immersed in the like media bubble that is this movie, then I wouldn't know like what's going on. So
Are
I
we
pulled up the
are we
map that
jumping into spoilers?
I guess I was just gonna say that there's actually four different what's it called
Armies?
factions.
Factions.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Western forces, California and Texas, the Loyalist states, which is like New England, and then the flyover states. The New People's Army, which is a lot of like the northern areas, so like Idaho, Wisconsin, Oregon, Washington, and then the Florida Alliance, which is a lot of the South. Um, if I didn't know this poster existed and I didn't see like the marketing, when someone says, "Oh, the Florida Alliance is doing this," or "the New People's Army is over here," I would be like, "Okay, who the fuck is that? Like, what's going on here?" Um, but yeah, I like the map and I like the breakdown. I wonder if it would break down like this IRL. I would say maybe so.
The only thing
I
that
don't
I
know,
will
maybe.
say, California and Texas are the two comfortably most powerful states in this country by a wide
Hmm.
margin. And
Yeah.
so obviously politics in the two states are not the same. I think Texas is a lot more purple than people realize, and California is a lot more red than people realize too. And so I don't think it is crazy to imagine a scenario where these two states might want to be their own country and then decide to basically join together in like an enemy of an enemy is my friend type of situation.
Like the
That's all.
U.S. and Russia during World War II.
Yeah, but they weren't even our enemies yet. They were our enemies after that,
Hmm.
you know. But yeah,
Yeah, I think to go back to my previous point, and I'd say make this easy slide into full of spoilers. Um, I think what we're really meant to take away from this is that it's more so about what happens to human nature than it
yeah,
is about an individual's personal politics. And so there are there are righteous and unrighteous things that everybody does. And I think about, just to jump into what we saw in the trailer and then got a chance to obviously see the full moment of, which is like the Jesse Plemons scene, which, God, that guy's so real. That guy is so, like, he's out there right now. Um,
there
who,
absolutely would be people that would do that in a civil war.
Hmm.
yeah.
Hmm.
And because we're in full spoiler territory now, not like the threat that he poses that we see in the trailer of like this guy is dangerous enough and has a gun, and clearly like there was a very clear uh right wing red state vibe from him, uh high, lampshaded by the fact that he's wearing red sunglasses. um and you're like, this guy could kill somebody, and he does. And that is, to deputize yourself in that way, or not have to suffer or fear the suffering of consequences in that way, that's I think that's all that's holding a lot of people back from harming people who don't look like them or don't share their same beliefs. And so like the questioning he does, oh, it's such a good scene. But like
And
where are you from? And he goes down the line.
there
Go
were
ahead,
so many
Dylan.
levels to that too. Is like, obviously, what kind of American are you? So, and this is
Oh, man.
this is full spoilers. Like, if anyone's listening to this and is we
Well,
are
that's
going
in the
to
that's in the
like,
trailer. That's in the
yes,
trailer.
yes, but I just further from that, when he's like, so he to Wagner Moura, he's like, what kind of American are you? Wagner Moura is Brazilian, has an accent, which I appreciate that they didn't really try to hide. And he's like, oh, I'm I'm American, and then he's like, Central or Southern. I loved that line because clearly, based off of his accent, you can tell that he's not necessarily from here. But he says Florida, which is a great answer. And then so Jesse's
then
like,
he goes
Central.
Mhm.
And so, which I loved. And it's just like, it's twisted. And then, he's like, oh, this is your colleague, the Asian guy, immediately shoots him. And then, the other Asian journalist, who's from Hong Kong, and he eventually says, oh, I'm from Hong Kong. And he goes, China, which is like, no, that's not what that is. And like immediately, like, it was so chilling. Like just to any like, and then he has like, I do think he eventually would have killed them, but has no problem with the two white people from Colorado and Missouri, which were just like, and granted, I still think he would kill them just because I think he didn't want anyone to see what he was doing. But the level of like viciousness and brutality, that was, oh man, that was one of the most like uncomfortable and like tense theater experiences I've ever had.
And the build up to it, and it speaks to I think the entire just the entire film, that there's so many ups and downs and joyful moments like pinned right next to a very sorrowful moment. And so the moment right before we get to that scene, they're having fun, or like, but before that they weren't having fun. So like they're like on the road, and then, oh god, this car's coming up behind us, and they're like driving so crazy. And they know what I'm talking about. And then we eventually say, okay, no, these are like friends of ours, and like we're cool with them. And oh my gosh, what a relief to see a friendly face. And they have that whole exchange, and they do the crazy thing of swapping cars. And then the other car is out of view, and you're like, oh wait, no, this is real again, and like we're not safe. We had a moment, but we're not actually safe. And then they see the empty car, and then we get this whole sequence of them with Jesse, like, and things I don't think really ever get happy again. But
Although Stephen McKinley Henderson coming in, I was like, I was just like punching air, man. I was like,
yeah,
It's a little
Yeah.
ex machina. I don't know. It's a little ex machina for me. Almost jumped the shark.
Wait, a little. Oh,
Yeah,
ex machina.
I think he was making a pun. Like instead of Deus Ex Machina, I think he was just saying.
No, but
No.
okay, because the other pun I heard was Lex Machina, like Lexus Machina, like a car
Oh.
Machina, because a car came in. So it was hitting on like 4 levels for me.
No. I wasn't trying to make a joke. I was just saying it's a little unrealistic, and a little like coming in at the last second. That if I could give it a criticism, I mean there are criticisms, but I think that's probably my biggest negative was for that
I have a
scene.
much
Like,
bigger.
what? Okay, well, to
From that
relieve the
scene?
tension in that
No.
scene, yeah, like I don't think, like realistically, like yeah, I'm sure there probably could have been something, and I mean in the narrative circle, the mentor has to die. I went to film school, but I mean they're in an open field. Like how is no one gonna either A, see the smoke, B, see the big white truck that says press, right?
Yeah.
Or C, just like not, they're in an open field. Like how does this car just show up and like no one really expects it? I think they would have, if they would have like seen it and then started shooting at it, and then things would have happened. I could make it make more sense, because also where he gets shot from, like the turnaround into like the getting away, for me doesn't really make much sense either, because while he was in the driver's side from like an angle, if the dude was shooting at him, I think he was just shooting broadly at the car, not necessarily at the driver. And if he was shooting at the driver as he's getting away, not to say he's probably a good or a bad shot, but like to shoot him directly like near that like chest
In his
stomach
side.
area,
Yeah.
yeah, in the side.
Yeah, I mean, I just think he was just shooting at the car, and it just, if a bullet of any of the people that it hit, it just ended up hitting him. You know, that's how I read it. But maybe I'm coming at it from a more, just like optimistic standpoint, or like, because I really liked that scene. Like, if I had no problem with that scene, I'm not going to necessarily, like, I'm just be like, oh, that all makes sense. Whereas, like, I get it. Like, a car just magically kind of appears. It's not like a crazy critique to have. And then it's so,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to fully root it in realism, yes, we should be, if we're not hearing the car's engine, we should at the very
Mhm.
least be hearing tires on gravel.
Or seeing the smoke from like the trail kick up, right?
Right.
Yeah, especially
Um,
if he was coming at high speeds from quite a ways away.
yeah. And there's, I mean, the only thing I'll try to do to justify it or defend it is because our POV is the press group, and this is such a heightened situation that their nerves are so shot, and they're like, their attention, their ability to perceive is so limited that they can't actually, like, they don't see it. And that, since we're following their POV, we don't see it.
and they're yelling
But
and
to your point,
screaming, and there's
Yeah.
gunfire.
yeah,
So give me like another gunfire jump scare where like some dude like just like raises and like he's off frame and we don't see what's going on. He just fires, and then everyone's like, oh, what the fuck's going on? And then it cuts to the wide where he rams them, and then things proceed, because
Yeah.
then also you give me like the 1-2 of someone shooting at the car, and then it would make sense that the bullet came from head on because he was getting shot at head on.
yeah. I mean, you're right. Like, I don't want to,
Thank you.
like,
Put one on the board
necessarily.
for me. Take one from Dylan.
Yeah, I feel like we've given Dylan a lot of points over the last couple of episodes.
This is Dylan's podcast.
It's
I'm
not my
just here.
podcast. I don't like that rhetoric.
Other moments, gents, or things you want to talk about?
I dug the needle drops. I don't know how y'all felt.
Mm.
I thought they were cool ways to kind of break it up, and I don't necessarily always love using like popular songs, but I don't know, watching the Florida or not Florida Lines, watching the Western Forces commit war crimes to De La Soul was kind of cool. It like set the tone of like, it was like a little bit of levity, a little bit, I guess, in a way, and also just like
Just
kind
a
of a little
little.
bit to like hype you up in a little bit of a way. Um, I personally liked that aspect of it. I have a lot more to talk about this movie, personally, but
I think the younger girl is an amazing photographer.
I agree. I if there was one critique I would have, it would be that there's no way I would let that girl join me on that trip
No.
in the first place. Like, and I get that, you know, she's young and she's like ambitious and whatever else, but and I don't care what what's his name promised.
Yeah.
Uh but if I'm Kirsten Dunst and I see her in this, I'm opening the door, get out.
No.
Get out. Like, I saved your life one time. I don't want to have to worry about trying to save your life a bunch. Like, and the point she makes as they get seated of like, okay, so we have a child and an old person. Great. Like, yeah, she already has enough on her plate with, her mentor. And yeah, like he makes a point about like, oh, like she was like, how old were we? And all of that. Even still, I couldn't see myself subjecting somebody who even was that ambitious and wanted it to that.
Yes, the only thing that I appreciated of that, which I agree on all those, is when Wagner Moura is like, he says, like, oh, she's a cool girl. And then, like, a few scenes later, he's, like, actively, like, being a creep and, like, trying to, like, hit on her and be like, hey, if you get scared, you can just wake me up. Like, it's like there was an intention behind part of the reason why he invited this girl, on this kind of road trip a little bit.
And
even the other journalists mentioned it too in that car scene, because they were like, I don't know, man, he was pretty fucked up. He was trying to get in that girl's pants.
Yeah.
And then Kristen Dunst's like, what the fuck? And then that's when it all clicks for her, right?
Yeah, and that actually does kind of counter what I was gonna say, but my thought is like, how does she not know that about him? Like, that he would like, this is the first time he's like seen a cute girl and like hit on her, like tried to get her to come along or whatever. Like, I don't.
Maybe the stakes maybe were a little bit more raised. Maybe she wasn't expecting that when they're going to like risking their like lives to go into an incredibly active war zone, that like she might not even like be thinking about that in that moment, versus like if they're just covering like the county fair or some shit.
Got you.
Well, I don't think they're covering the county fair.
I get, they're war journalists, but like I'm.
Well, the county fair is also where they sell arms, so you have to keep that in mind as well in this world. Yeah, that part, and I mean, Jessie as a character there were times where I could not believe she would behave as stupidly as she did. And I get the like wanting to get the shot, but yeah, maybe, I don't know. I think the shift happens in that first when they had that like little war zone thing in the building and they find the one guy. Yeah. That I think is the shift, and she like gets that taste for like, I think you mentioned it, Dylan, like the adrenaline that like that you that hit, like she then gets addicted to it. But
also in that scene, Wagner Moura literally can't keep his hands off of her.
Oh, true. But I mean, he needs to do that.
Sure.
Because who else is gonna guide her and let her know when it is okay and when it's not okay to like step out and take the shot? We
maybe
literally
see.
Journalist.
I'm just saying, like I appreciated that. I get why he
who doesn't want her there in the first place.
I understand, but like it's I understand, but it's also, hey, the guy that clearly has a thing for her is like holding her and like moving her. I don't know. I thought that was very intentional.
It was her first taste. It was her first taste in war.
I agree with all of that.
But here's the other thing, Dylan, because at the very end of the movie, because we are in spoiler like land, at the very end, she still doesn't know when it's okay to jump out, because she jumps out, takes the shot, and then Kirsten Dunst has to like step in the way of the bullets. Yeah,
least favorite part of the movie.
And if you're saying that you don't,
if you want, or we can talk about other stuff.
I'm happy to hit it now.
I hated that scene. That scene almost completely ruined the movie for me. Like, I'm okay with the suspending of disbelief of like the war journalists, which like war journalists are on like the scene. They're not quite literally on the front lines, but like they will be there. War journalists get killed. You can look up like war journalists killed, and there's certain conflicts going on right now where you're seeing that happen. That's all I'm going to kind of leave it at. I appreciated the fact of like, hey, so Kirsten Dunst's character is like running across the hallway and is like able to kind of like take photos, and then she wants to kind of imitate it but like mistimes it. That part I liked. What I didn't like is how Kirsten Dunst's character responded to it. And I get that there was a shift in her character, like after Stephen McKinley Henderson dies and she deletes the photo and then like she starts to have like a panic attack. I can understand that like her character is starting to change. However, that character doesn't just like knock her to the ground and stand there to get shot. That character is going to tackle her. That character is going to get her out of the way. That character
Yeah.
is also going to move. Not only for her to stand there and to have her get that photo taken, to stand there and stand that still for that long for that photo to be taken, and then for the kill there was no
It was
blood.
it was slow motion.
Sure,
It was slow motion.
there were people that giggled. There were people that giggled in our theater.
No,
Wait, really?
when she
Yeah,
when Jesse steps out to take the picture, you see the slow motion shot of the Secret Service already out. They're committing to just firing at whoever's there. And so it's not that Kristen Dunst is standing there, it's that it's shot in slow motion and the perception of time in that shot is just slower because it's such an impactful scene.
but she
She
still
pushes
stands.
her over. She pushes her over and is like about to she's standing still because it's the shot. It's like the camera shot, but those guys were going to fire regardless. She saved her life. And sure, she's standing a bit concerned, but that's just more of like I pushed you over, I'm you looking at you, and maybe if there was like a tenth more, she would have like pivoted or like moved out of the way. But those guys were already there. Those guys were already ready to go. And like it makes sense. People in my theater groaned and were like, oh my god, like that's why would she do that? That's so dumb. At Jesse for stepping out because they saw that the guys were already peaking. They were already ready. They could not stop their
Yeah.
their motion. I think her standing there and giving her that expression is just more for just like the pictures of it all, because that whole death scene is like 3 pictures, which if you're shooting on film is more like 1.5, because there's no way you can rack it that quickly and take another one.
I get it. I hear both of y'all. I read it as slow motion, and I read it as like, I don't agree with her standing in front, because I think in that, like, I don't see that character making the split second decision to block the shot. I could only see a world where she tries to push her or tackle her out of the way, because it's not that like you have to carry the legacy. Like, they don't have that kind of a relationship. That's not this kind of movie. Like, it should have been a tackle, or if anything, a push um, out of the way, and maybe she gets caught up, or like she stumbles or trips herself, and then is in the line of fire. But yeah, to stand in the way, to stand fully in front of her to block the shot is
That's
goofy.
They set the tone in typical Alex Garland fashion without spoiling any of his other movies. Like, the first thing, other than the Nick Offerman speech, the first dialogue that we get is when she sees Kirsten Dunst's character is like, "Holy shit, you're Lee, whatever the fuck, you're Lee Smith," and it's
Lee
just
Miller,
like,
I think it
Lee,
was.
yeah, or she was named after Lee Miller, whatever. Regardless, it was just like, she's not like she's Maggie Haberman. She's the most famous journalist. She is the cream of the crop, best in the world. People know who she is. I just didn't see it. I have her die in the Oval Office. Have her get killed in a different fashion. I have no problem with her dying. I have no problem with even capturing the shot. I have no problem with them leaving her. But like, it was a non-violent death, which I did not appreciate. Her fucking brains should have been splattered. She's wearing a Kevlar vest.
Oh my god, Dylan!
It doesn't make you have no problem.
It's in the contract.
Showing
It's in the contract. She
you
can't
have
die. It's in the
no
contract.
problem showing brutal death. You have no problem showing a bunch of guys getting tied up, stood in front of a Gatling gun, and mowed down. You showed us a mass grave with children in it, and then when the main character gets shot in the back while wearing a Kevlar vest, there is no blood, nothing. Doesn't make any sense. That's weird. That's weird.
I mean, that does make sense, because Kevlar's not. That doesn't mean you're impervious to bullets. It's just more durable. And if they've got some high quality, like, can really fuck your shit up guns.
So
as I'd imagine the Secret Service would. Kevlar is just like a nice aesthetic, if anything.
So dare I say she's not dead, and given the situation that they're in, like 99% of the way there to finishing the fight, they probably just walked away. And then when they walk out of the Oval Office and she's like on her back, like shocked and like just like so distraught with everything and herself, in the movie that we never got to see. Like,
She doesn't move.
if
She's dead.
no,
Yeah,
I
that's
mean, have you been
stretch
shot?
Armstrong.
Nah, she's. I have no. I've never been shot, of course, but she does not move. She falls like a sack of potatoes. Does not move. I'm sure if we were to read up on it or listen to an interview with Alex Garland after the fact, she's dead.
I
He
would say
would.
he'd leave it up for interpretation.
I don't think so. I don't in
Because
this case, no.
you don't plant the line early. Is like, if I die, are you going to take a photo of it? And she's like, what do you think? And then she takes the photo of the death, of her own death, and like, you don't draw that parallel for me.
And even without the dialogue, like narratively, young, upstart, photojournalist meets their hero, goes on a journey. The hero has to die. You said it yourself earlier. The hero,
Yeah.
like the mentor, has
The
to
hero
die.
has to die.
And like, they planted the seed of like, she filmed the Antifa massacre. She got the shot of the Antifa massacre. And so now the young journalist gets the shot of her dying in the White House, like, siege, that like, this is then going to launch her career as, the next great photojournalist.
So
As
so
long as
then
she
I'll
knows when to jump
say
out.
Yeah.
so then I'll say it's completely in character because it's completely out of character. Because after her mentor dies, she is like panicking and is like scared and is just
Yeah,
like not
I
in
agree.
the right frame.
Very
And
fair.
even when there's those action shots of her with her camera, like while there are still powerful pictures, a lot of them didn't feel as didn't feel her style. And that's something that I wish we could have seen more. I wish we could have seen more of the two perspectives, because I really liked the two different versions of photography with them. Like, she's got
Yeah.
this super high res like digital camera and just goes like pop 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 pop, almost like a gun, just like poking out, shooting. But then she's shooting on film, which means it's more meticulous and more like intentional. And so, um, like even in again those shots of in that siege of the Oval Office, where the color shots are her perspective and the black and white shots are Jesse's perspective. It's just it's reminiscent of the first time you see it, in like the war zone with the Hawaiian guys,
Yeah.
but it's different because her head wasn't in the game, you know.
I agree, and I appreciated that they like showed it like a little progressively too. Like, her deleting the photo in and of itself of Steve McKinley Henderson like shows that shift. She starts to get nervous during like the initial siege, and then she's still not like completely out of it, which I also appreciate, because like, she clocked that like, no, that's not the president. That like,
Yeah.
he's still like, and like, so she still kind of has like that in her, which I also appreciated. I'm willing to accept that like, she's not on her A game. To me, that felt below Alex Garland, that scene. He is a amazing writer, clearly a very talented filmmaker. To me, it felt a little lazy. That's all. That's
Alex Garland, come on the pod, defend yourself.
Yeah. Let's talk about it.
Talk to Dylan about it. I liked it. I thought it was fine.
It's just the standing still for me.
Yeah.
It's slow motion. That one moment lasts a lifetime. There's no way she could have gotten out of the way in time. They were already peaking. They were already ready. You can count them in like the scene before. Like, it's
I
just
will
it's a
go
slow motion
when I go
thing.
see this movie again and get mad again. I will.
It's a slow motion thing, dude.
But if that's the case, in her effort to protect her, and I do want to talk about more than just this one moment, although I know it like was a big.
I think this is probably like, you make your point and then.
If it's slow motion, we should be seeing motion, but all we see is that she's stationary.
Because it was a
So-
picture. because it was a
in
picture.
each sequence of the picture, if it's slow motion, I should be seeing, like, if she was maybe gonna like
No,
push
because
her out of the way, we should be seeing her move
she gets
within
pushed
each of those
over.
frames.
She gets pushed over, and then you see her like kind of put her. You see Kristen does put her hands down, and then the next shot is the black and white picture of her like scowling at her, and then it goes to her like mid fall, and then it goes to the one where she's like completely out of the frame.
And she falls straight down because she was standing.
Falls to the right. She falls to the right.
It's a draw. It's a
You
draw.
don't get to say that. No.
I just okay. Do you want to make this? Do you want to
He's
make this a
defending
3-hour
you.
podcast? Do you want to make this as a 3-hour podcast if we debate like a scene in a movie?
After
That,
school
like,
debate club.
Yeah, like
It was slow motion.
I
Let
guess
us
just
know in
to
the
talk
comments.
about yes, please let us know.
Watch Civil
Yeah.
War.
Actually,
let us
yeah,
know.
please do let us
Yeah.
know. We should set up a poll.
Yeah. I wanted just to talk about in whole the entire last third of the movie. To me, that is, I think, what really kind of separates this from the moment once they get to the Western Forces base and Joel Wagnermore's character is like screaming in anger all the way like through. That is some of the best like filmmaking. To me, I think will set the bar for like war movie filmmaking. I'm curious what y'all thought.
As someone who plays Call of Duty, I really appreciate that it was just nonstop. After that, for sure. I mean, there's a lot of powerful, like he's screaming, but you don't hear the screaming because you hear the helicopters, and there's stuff that needs to be done. So Kristen starts cleaning the van, and everything's moving, and things are happening, and that silence just elevates the emotions of it all. But then when it's boots on the ground in DC at the White House, just like the Call of Duty in me is just like, yeah, fuck yeah, like let's Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, just like rolling over, taking cover, shooting out, like all right, moving up, and then just moving up. I love that for sure. Is it the pinnacle of war movies? No, I would say All Quiet has a better war like feeling, like a better. I mean, the sound is amazing.
Sounds
But
incredible.
I think All Quiet still has a better just atmosphere for war
That's fair.
than this one.
Yeah, the last third, especially once they get to DC, and we touched on it with the non-spoilery stuff, but this was the most jarring, raw, visceral, chilling experience I've ever had watching my home city be under attack in any way. Like, I think about, like, I had no real reaction to them blowing up the White House on Independence Day, but like, or what was the other Black
Olympus
Hawk?
Has Fallen.
Olympus Has Fallen. Like, none of that, and a lot of it is the style and like the build up and everything, but none of that felt as real or as home as this did. And I think part of it too is that like I'm because they did such a good job with like the set design, it's totally thrown me to where I'm like, oh, I remember, like, I went on a date 2 blocks over from here, or I remember running down the street right here, or all of it is just I have so many personal memories to what they're showing me on camera to then see them shoot mortars from the tops of buildings, and I can like, oh, there's my friend's house over there, and I can see like that's like there's just so much personal connection that it really, really like rocked me to my core. Like, I'm like, my mom's job is blocks away, like a 5-minute walk away from a lot of this stuff. And it was just as I'm looking for just some familiarity and comfort, I'm like, where's the African American Museum? Okay, there it is. Because it's like not too far from the monument. So every like wide shot of the monument, I was like, okay, it's I will be okay. It's fine.
Prince's guitar is okay.
Yeah, it's and I appreciate that it just continues to pick up, and it doesn't ease off the gas pedal at all until the very end. And I really loved, um, death, Kirsten Dunst's death aside from Jesse's death. I really love that entire last sequence where he pushes in, they catch him. He's like, "Please don't let them kill me. That'll do." And then like it, fades to, or not fades to white, but like we get that white
The
screen, and
film
then
like develops.
the
Yeah.
film
The
is
film developed, yeah.
developing. I thought that was a really, really strong finish.
That
To
picture
the whole
goes
thing.
hard. That picture
Yeah.
goes hard. All of her shots are so powerful. Not to say that Kristen Dunst doesn't have great shots. I mean, there that montage of her like going through her memories, which which by the way I appreciated that little like motif of like the chroma like shaking in the background, like the Oppenheimer almost,
Mhm.
in like the whenever she's like making a memory, like looking at herself in the dress in a sense of normalcy, and then making that like a memory was pretty cool, and then having that uh be reflected onto the girl's character. I think the girl was Jessie. No, not.
Oh yeah, you're right. It's because she's Lee. You're right.
Yeah,
My
yeah, she's
apologies.
yeah. But yeah, like even seeing her mentor die, and then it goes to like the chroma, like oh shit, this is a core memory now. I really appreciated that. Um, and I want to go back for a second. I appreciate your perspective on, because I'm thinking of like, well, shit, just like movies in LA all the time. Like, why don't I feel the same way if there was something going on like in my home city? But like, LA is just so vast, and there could be something happening in downtown or something happening at the beach, and I'm just like, okay, well, that's whatever. But DC is so small and so dense, and
Right.
so for you, it's like your backyard. It's like if there's a wide enough shot, you can probably pinpoint your house, I'm assuming,
Right.
in DC. And like I just can't imagine that feeling for you, buddy. I'm so sorry.
The only LA movie that has made me feel any kind of way. Have you all seen Heat, the Michael Mann movie?
Haven't
I've
seen it yet.
not.
Okay. I recommend it. It's like a really, really cool crime thriller, but there's a shootout scene in downtown LA, and it is like really gripping. And it's like I lived right next to it and like would like walk by there every morning. And it's like it really is intense. And despite being shot in the 90s, like better than most action sequences, like even I would say in a lot of movies right now. So that's like a thing that eventually, if y'all have like 3 hours of free time and want to watch a good action movie.
Yeah, people on Twitter have been I don't know, they've been uprising. People have been posting a lot
The
about
heat essence.
Heat on Twitter. And I guess I would say, since I haven't seen Heat, Ambulance, Ambu-LA
Yeah.
Ants.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
That
yeah.
one is such an LA movie, for just like the culture of police chases that exists in LA,
Big time.
and also just downtown in general. But that's like downtown. Like I didn't grow up in downtown. I grew up in like mid Wilshire, so I'd have to see like LACMA blow up or something for me to be like, oh shit, that's like right
You
there.
love La La Land, just like all the scenes at LACMA.
Yeah, I mean, I did like La La Land. That
I need
that
to.
was also something. Yeah.
I want to rewatch Drive after living here. I wonder
Hmm.
how much of that is like, can I like clearly spot that it's LA?
Another Ryan Gosling. He's totally just me. He's just like me for real.
He was great on SNL last night. I don't know if y'all watched some of those clips. I'm not normally
Oh,
a big
no.
Oh, he was
SNL
on
guy.
SNL.
It was, oh my god, watch all of them. It is so funny.
Yeah, I am big on SNL, but I'm like
Yeah.
2 episodes behind now. It's been busy.
Shout out
Yeah.
to the hardest line in the movie, to bring it back to Civil War. Like what is the rate of success? 30-1 when it comes to shooting film. Oh my god! Like the struggle of going through like 2 or 3 roles and then getting them developed and then hating everything except for like 2 shots. Oh my god, that the realest line in the movie, hands down. And it connected with me personally. I was like, damn, that's right. That's
Yeah.
the struggle with film.
I didn't have that. I don't have as much, skin in the game as far as like film goes. But something I took away from that, and if I'm way off base here, let me know. But he mentions the 30-1, and she's on like her eighth or ninth shot, and it's like, oh, I like this one. It made it I, to me that like made her seem like a stronger photographer. Like it showed her like her talent and skill. Like, oh, it takes forever, and she's like, oh, you mean like this one? I don't know if I'm off there, if it's just like
No.
her 30 just came up early.
No, it's just a standard film roll has like 32 shots, and so depending on how you load it and how you like just set it up, you can go above or below it. The average is around 32, 34. um and so I just like understanding the medium, and then knowing that like, yeah, after every roll or so you'll probably like 2 or 3 shots. um but that first shot that she like really just like takes the time to take a picture of, and then we really get to see her perspective through that one shot of like the injured soldier. Oh man, that shot goes hard. All of her Oval Office shots. I mean, she got the kill shot. Oh man, she's gonna be an amazing photographer. Um, but something that even like shooting in both digital and film for me is just like, well, how much of that could be related to the medium? Because to mirror Kristen Dunst, she's just like holding down the trigger, shooting a bunch of things, and then she'll go back and select the ones that she likes. With film, you have to be more intentional. And so it hurts a lot more when you take your time to shoot 30 pictures to like one or two.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming getting stuff developed or getting the chemicals and stuff in a post apocalyptic world is really challenging. So it adds like an extra layer of like, oh fuck, like you are dedicating X amount of resources for this to potentially not pay off.
I think, and I want to introduce another thing though, with that. I Would it be easy? No, but I don't think it would be super difficult because there does seem to be this like halo or hate, like the press are marked in this world and like elevated. So I could see if she, like getting the like we see in the first scene with Lee, and she like gets her press reflective vest, that like, hey, like you are respected people regardless of sides, because you all are here to like document and tell the truth or whatever. I could imagine a world, just like flesh it out even more, where they do like maybe are the only ones who have access or have a huge discount because of why they're using the chemicals to develop.
I'm sure they do. It's just more of like the world building behind it, because even now in the non-Civil War times, it's kind of hard to get this stuff.
It's
You
expensive.
kind of And it's super expensive, and you have to go to a specialty place, and
Yeah, learning how much like
sometimes you have to
Fuji
order
charges.
things.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah.
yeah. So it's a bit impractical to call yourself a war journalist when you shoot on film, but man, does it pay off? Because holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it also seems like it was her dad, so she could have like a stockpile of film from like years, you know.
Oh,
But the other
yeah.
thing too is like I appreciated the war journalism aspect. Some of it is a little too like suspended disbelief, but like that is like you will if you watch, you can like see like the 20 Days of Maripol or like other war documentaries. Like yeah, they're wearing helmets, they're wearing like shirts, like they will
It
say
says
press on
press.
them,
Yeah.
and part of it is because in a lot of wars, like it's a resources thing. You don't want to necessarily like waste ammo and like munitions on that. Granted,
Unless you're America
or
Hoorah.
USA.
another major conflict going on where there have been like journalists sniped, and that's like before anyone gets mad, like the country I'm talking about said that there is a high probability after they initially denied it that they were involved. Just want to say that. And like so those types of things happen where like there are going to be like there is like a little bit of a protection on them, but journalists do still die, granted, as what happens in this movie too. The other thing I just want to talk about is, Jose, you'd kind of mentioned it, of like how this did or didn't happen. I think personally they made it kind of clear, at least to an extent, how and why this happened. Maybe when we get the third movie in the franchise, it'll be Civil War Day One. But like they clearly show what I think at least has led to this. I don't know. What do y'all think?
I didn't think so. Well, so what I thought happened, because in lead up to it, right? The they asked Alex Garland, and he's like, they joined forces because of a decision the president made, and there's just like a one line where he's like, "How do you feel about taking a third term?" And I'm like, okay, if that's what it was, and he is now just like this power hungry dude who decides to take a third term for president, is that enough to justify a civil war? And I've been kind of playing with the question in my head, if this happened IRL, if say one of these presidents, former presidents, became, third term, would there be a reaction the same way? Would California and Texas agree that this is like, put their differences aside and say like, hold on, this is not right? I is that what the decision was? Was he just like the third president?
Well, a little bit more than that too. So it's like the movie, like it starts with Nick Offerman's practicing the speech and gives the speech, and he's like, "This is the greatest victory in the history of mankind, and this is the greatest victory in military campaigns." And then you find out that actually they're losing. So like it is telling you from the jump, this guy's full of shit. This guy is like a propagandist, and like this is who this guy kind of is. And then yeah, Stephen McKinley Henderson is like, he's practicing the questions, and he's like, "Mr. President, why did you choose to seek a third term? Mr. President, why did you seek to disband the FBI? Mr. President, like what was your reasonings for using airstrikes on American citizens?" So like they're already starting to plan and plant these seeds of what happened. It can be a Republican, it can be a Democrat. There is a certain presidential candidate who has joked, maybe not joked, about running for a third term, who has high ranking people in the media talking about disbanding that amendment, who has talked about disbanding the FBI and has attacked the FBI. These are very real things. These are very, very real things. And I can watch it as a progressive and think, oh, I know who that's talking about. And I'm sure someone that is really conservative can also watch it and think that that's what, like, Brandon
I have a different
is going to be
person
up
in
to.
mind.
Yeah. Like, to me personally, it was all right there. No, they didn't give like very, very specifics, but imagine like it would have been so ham fisted if like it's just like, so when this happened, like, and or like I guess they could do like the news clippings cliche, but like you don't need to. It's like I I think
Give
people wanted
me
their politics like validated. Not saying that's what you wanted, but like I think a lot of that
no no no
criticism
no
is
no
like people wanted it to just like say it, but like you can fill in the blanks.
no. I didn't want it to be said, although I would have appreciated that like perspective. I wanted it just to be more explained, because that's something that like, my partner and I kind of, I had to like fill her in on like what's going on, because she was like, wait, why are they mad at the president? Why are they like rushing the White House? And I was like, okay, well, they mentioned that this is the thing, and then they did say that there was a third term, and that's kind of all I really know. And so if you could give me like the Call of Duty CGI, like this area turns like a color, and then like it zooms out, and then California and then Texas flip, and then it says Western Forces, like that poster that is out for marketing. If you could have just given me that development to understand, like in the opening credits or something, or just something that just like fills me in as to where we are before Nick Offerman's speech, I think it would have just helped more people understand what's going on. um because like, while you don't need it, and if it's there and if you look for it, you'll find it. um Ultimately, it's just if you miss it, it's just military people shooting the president.
Yeah.
And you might be able to interpret that as like, oh, these guys are rebelling. Yes, they're rebelling, but was it justified? I don't know. That's up to you to decide. If you just gave me just a more, like, how Game of Thrones goes through like the map of Westeros,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it sets up
Sure.
every episode like where we are. if you could have given me that before the movie, just like make it a needle drop of something, and it's just like a CGI, like, okay, this is the history, these are the players, this is where we're at. Uh, go. It just would have rounded it out
I
for me.
think for me, I totally hear you, Jose, and I think you're right, Dylan, and like that, the lack of that is what has led to so many people like being critical about the film. I think it is so important to keep all of that out though, because what it forces you to do is consider each person's politics. Because for me, if I knew the reasoning behind why California and Texas got together. And I also, by the way, have never seen this map. You're talking about this in the promo stuff. Like
What?
I don't,
Oh,
I,
really?
Oh, dude, this
Oh,
map
you
rocks.
also, he does stay away from like a ton
Oh,
of,
fair.
like
Fair.
yeah,
he will actively make sure to not, see stuff. But yeah, they
Um,
showed a map and it's all like color broken down. It was helpful. It definitely like
it's
helps going into it.
here. I
what,
sent it to the chat. Oh,
what
it's a
it,
Screen Rant article, but the map is in there.
yeah, what winds up happening, or what wound up happening for me is I had to look at every single person and like recognize, okay, this person's saying this or doing these things. How do I feel about these actions versus, if I, and I think this is a big problem with politics as they are. And maybe that's what Alex Garland is like trying to highlight here is that if there were, folks in blue versus folks in red, or, if there was a clear delineation and I knew, okay, these people who are wearing this have these sets of beliefs and I'm with them and I'm going to do the extra mental math to justify any actions that people who are on the side I agree with do, or vilify the actions that are people who are on the opposite side I disagree with. Like we saw Jesse Plemons' character in the Fatigues, and he's a terrible person, and that's based on what I see him do. The folks who storm the Capitol and kill the president, I don't really have a huge thing against them, but for the most part, it felt like the right thing to do based on the very little I know of like this president trying to like seize and
Like,
keep power. But these are people who are wearing the same uniform, for the most part.
But even
And
too,
if I
like
just base it on that, yeah,
they go
go ahead.
like there are no terms when they kill the press secretary. Like when they kill the press sec, it's like they're trying to negotiate terms of surrender, and they're like, no, there's no terms. They just kill her, just shoot on sight. Or maybe she was a Secret Service officer, maybe it wasn't the press sec, but it's in the press room.
Yeah,
And then like same thing, like just execution style kill like the president, and they even like point out to. I'm guessing Jesse Plemons was a part of the U.S. military, but he could have been Western forces. He could have just been a guy
no, he's
LARPing.
just a guy. Yep. There's a lot
Maybe,
of
but they
those.
have military. They have military equipment too. Like you could tell me he gets his hands on it. What I appreciated was the ambiguity around all of that. That you have these like militias that were running the gas station, even when they go into that quiet town. That there's like people under control of like they're controlling that town. Um, the sniper, like we have no idea what those snipers were, and they were like, we don't know. He's shooting
mm-hmm.
us. Fun fact: that guy used to be married to Zoe Kravitz. Was doing a Wikipedia deep dive. The spotter. And I was like, oh man, congrats for you. For a little bit, and then it was just like I appreciated that kind of like ambiguity. But I think the point of the movie was to show like the issues of a two-party system that our founding fathers did not want. The issues of where we are at politically, where you can't talk about things with other people. We used to work with someone who was a Trump supporter, who you would not expect at all was a Trump supporter, and I would talk with them about it, and it was honestly low key shocking. But like they were terrified. I will talk about it off pod. Terrified to
I want
talk
a
about it.
name.
Yeah,
I'm kidding.
But like it was
I
just
do.
one of those things of and their takes baffled me. Legitimately would baffle me. But those things happen, and they felt terrified, to my understandably, to talk about it. And I think that's like all part of this problem that he's showcasing what this like division could potentially lead to, and also, and this is a thing, like looked like a lot of the people that were suffering also were people of color. There were some white people, a lot of people of color. First guy that we see get blown away and is a black soldier. Like they show a lot of the refugees, tons of families of color. Like he's showing what is going to happen and where this is wrong and why this is wrong. And he didn't need to say that it was a Republican or a Democrat. You can take into that, you know.
I don't think
No, I'm not saying
I
that's what
don't
you
need
said.
to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't need to know if it was red or blue. I would just wanted to know like the landscape of who the players are.
Yeah.
Like I know that's the Western Forces. I know it's the Florida Alliance, and I know all of that. I just wish I knew where they were in just like the Game of Thrones of the war game. Just to understand the perspective of the playing field more.
Yeah.
But I get it. I'm gonna save this hot take for off pod.
Ooh.
I have a hot take. I have a hot
Ooh.
take.
Do you think
and,
it's to make it safe?
Hema doesn't like. What do you mean?
Do you think it was like, we can still talk, but do you think it was like just to be safe, to make it as broadly appealing?
That they didn't show 100%. 100%. Yeah. I mean, with a movie called Civil War, and I think even my first perception of it when I mentioned it to you, Dylan, I was like, oh man, this is going to be some like either really right wing movie
Sound
or
of
really
Freedom.
left wing movie. Yeah, but you were like, no. Alex Garland knows what he's doing, and I'm like, okay, well, let's see it. And even the trailer like never really gave away too much. And then it was a lot of, again, that map really it got me into it. If you did you get a chance to see the map, Vaughn?
Yeah, I'm looking at the map now. That's why I had some straight audio earlier.
Good. We'll fix that in post.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it. The only thing that or I should say, the trickiest thing about it, funny enough, is I thought Western Force. I know they said it was California and Texas. I assumed it was going to include Arizona and what's the one between that and Texas? New Mexico. I assumed that was also going to be a part of it because like to have an alliance. Yeah. So it's like that's weird to not see that in there. But other than that, especially on this side of having seen the movie, I don't know that this would have mattered to me as much. Or enhanced a whole lot.
It sparked my interest, and I wanted to go see it even more after seeing this map. And kind of piggying back on like the idea of the factions. I'm a big flag guy. Your flag needs to have a meaning. I get the 2 stars. I don't get the 13 stripes. What are you trying to say with that? What are you trying to say with that?
That's the iconic part of the American flag.
I know, but
right, but that represents the 13 colonies, and y'all are not one of those 13.
Not. Yep. What do you mean by that? Who's the flag designer, and what is your intentionality? So, Hema says it's that.
Oh, you.
Well, so yeah, she says it's not about, us versus them. It's about them still being America, but it's just now a separate division of it. So they'll keep the foundation of the 13 colonies, but now there's only 2 states because this is like the new America. Like they are separate, but they're not separate. They're keeping those foundations, which makes sense.
Shout out to Hema. That's
beautiful. That's the pod. Class dismissed. And if they were to incorporate like the bear and then like the Texas star with like red, white, and blue, I thought that would be kind of cool.
I would fear that would like lean maybe too Russian. Think about a bear with a star. I don't know. Or
just more of like a 2-star, maybe like just a blue flag with 2 stars, or maybe not blue because then they start bringing in politics into it. So purple, 2 stars, or black with 2 stars.
I would take from the land of my people. Do Haiti, so like blue on the top, red on the bottom, 2 white stars in the middle.
2 white stars. Nice.
Look at us redesigning flags.
Yeah. I like the American flag. It's because we're a newer country. Like a lot of European countries, those flags are so boring.
Yeah.
Just 3 colors and like random stripes. Yeah.
I will say that speaking of flags, one of the moments where I was like, do I need to be here? Do I need to go? Was at the very top. When we see that like conflict and the people are like fighting for water and the mother's like my baby,
Mhm.
and that person just straight up runs in
Fuck.
US flag and is like a bomber or whatever, suicide bomber. That had me shook. And I mean that is like one of those tone setting moments in a film where it's like, if you weren't on board, buckle up because this is what we're doing here.
That's what they showed at the Ex Machina.
Oh
Like
shit.
that was the clip they showed. They showed the Nick Offerman speech, and then it ended with the explosion, and that was it. And I was just like, "Oh fuck yeah, this movie's gonna be great." Like I was
Let's
a little
see.
nervous, and then I was just like,
Maybe I should
I'm
watch
in.
trailers and things because I went to an Ex Machina viewing as well and definitely left before the Civil War thing. I was like, I'm gonna go see it, whatever.
I was like about to run out. I was like, if they start to show too much, I'm gonna run. But to me, this set the tone.
So I want to ask you, Vaughn. This is now the second movie where we've showed up late to, and have missed a majority of the trailers, and the movie just starts. I don't know how you do it. My anxiety is through the roof. I'm
I
like,
abandoned him.
I can't. I'm sorry. I don't want to miss this movie. I'm gonna
Yeah.
get there early. Maria Menounos, shout out to her.
Wow.
I play the games on my phone.
I've
Before
never
I
seen
show up
her.
early.
That's if you have to get there early to see her.
I
You have to
show
get
up
there
early,
You have to get
dude.
there 15 minutes before the start of the movie to see her.
Oh no.
You've
Yeah.
never seen her like do like random press BS?
Th- um there was something, and I think it was like a re-release type thing,
Yeah.
and those I do wind up seeing
Yeah.
some trailers for because I just don't know what the timing is going to be for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
Dude, Monkey Man, driving to Monkey Man, I was like, fuck. We're gonna miss it. And then thankfully we got there. Like, we still got in line and got popcorn, got everything, and then saw it just fine. This one we ate beforehand, but we were still running a bit behind. And same thing. I'm just like, fuck. I'm gonna
Yeah.
miss it. I
10
just don't
minutes
get
late,
it.
max.
I
10 minutes
don't
late,
get it.
max.
No, I have to be in the building, and then and that's it. Like before,
If the
for
movie,
sure.
let's say a movie starts at 8 p.m., I
I'm there at
will
7:30.
join. I'm joining
I
the
am
queue for food at 8:10. Like,
no, no.
For
If the
newer
movie
movies,
starts
it's a
at
little bit
8,
more okay, but
no. If the movie starts at 8, I'm at the parking lot at 7:30, walking in at like 7:40, buying food, sitting down.
it
And
depends on the theater too, because like Alamo, you can't go in once it starts. They do not let you in, which I appreciate.
once the trailers start, they don't let you in.
You have like a 5-minute buffer, and like eventually then they put like a sign on the door and everything. Yeah, which I
I don't get
appreciate.
it.
That's
I don't get it.
pretentious. Yeah, dude, I can't, because I used to be all about trailers, and then there was just a shift I had. I think honestly, Avengers Civil War, no, sorry, not Civil War, no. It was Avengers Endgame and was Infinity War. Those films, they were like showing us so much, and then half of it wasn't actually in the film anyway, and just like just to get you to go see the film. And I'm gonna see the film, like, as long as A-list exists or I have some sort of subscription service where I can get cheaper tickets to go watch movies in a theater, I'll be there. So you don't have to convince me to come. I'm coming.
It seems like such a
Clip
weird,
it.
like the art of trailer making is dead for a lot of movies. There was another Kinds of Kindness trailer. I don't know if y'all saw it.
That was a teaser. They fixed it. They listened to the pod and they fixed it. It's a teaser.
Okay, but they dropped a second one, and it was like still just as like I have no idea what's going on. Another 30 seconds set to music. Also, I rewatched last night the first Dune trailer, Dune Part 1 trailer. My God, what a fantastic trailer. I was like so on board. It feels like so many trailers now are just the whole fucking movie explained. It's I hate it.
So
I hate it
there's
here.
there's a different trailer though. So I enjoy watching the trailers because it puts movies on my radar that I'm not necessarily ready to see. So or I wasn't necessarily aware to see. Like when we get to it, I want to have a discussion as to whether or not we'll go watch. I saw the TV Glow because that trailer is intriguing to me,
Mhm.
but it's also looks like a spooky movie. And man,
I gotta be
I'm not
fair to
about
Vaughn. I
spooky
think we
movies.
might be might not get anything too intense for a little while on the pod. I think Challengers might be the most edgy thing we're going to be recording for the next. Well, Mad Max, but like,
Vaughn, you get to pick the next 3 movies. Dylan and I have picked a couple movies for better or for worse.
And it's, you know, they've all like kind of pushed my personal threshold, but I knew that I was kind of in the hole for Kung Fu Panda, because I was like very adamant that we like see and review that.
yeah, and I wanted to give that to
Um,
y'all.
Oh,
but
thank
yeah,
you.
I'm
Oh, benevolent.
No, like
benevolent.
I was the hang up, you know what I mean? Because before I was like, no, I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. Like I was like dragging my feet on it, and I didn't think that was fair. Like, not like it's I have the power, like, but you know what I mean? If any one of us is going to be like, no, I don't want to see the movie, it's awkward.
I think we should be able to veto a movie, and this is maybe an offline conversation behind the scenes. If there's just something we're just like to our core, no, we should have like a ticket for that. But Kung Fu Panda, if you wasted your veto on Kung Fu Panda, like, no, come on, dude.
I will also say, so I'm looking at this. I saw the TV Glow, another A24. They are on fire.
Mm-hmm.
I did see Problemista, by the way. I don't know if y'all got a chance to see that. Also A24, very good. I enjoyed it a
I
lot.
want to watch it. I want to watch it.
Any other thoughts on Civil War though before we talk about other things?
Real quick, all I just wanted to say was the box office just came out for it, just the domestic. It's already done $25 million in the opening weekend at the domestic box office, not including the international. Don't really know what the international box office will be for an American Civil War movie, but it's already made half of its money back. So that's really awesome. I think Everything Everywhere All at Once has the record at around 100 million for A24. So I'm curious to see. I guess this is the biggest opening they've ever had. Before it was Hereditary. Hereditary did about 13 million, and this appeared to double it. So shout out to A24. Shout out to Civil War. Please go see this movie. I think this movie is incredibly powerful.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's my soapbox.
I'm gonna grade it because I do also have to get out of here.
Oh shit.
I'm gonna say it's a solid, positive, absolute 8. Maybe on par with Monkey Man. So I'll give it also like a B plus. I think I gave Monkey Man a B plus. I'll give it a B.
I'll give it a positive 9, absolute value 9.
Whoa.
In grading wise, I'll give it an A, a solid A. It can be bumped up to an A plus if you make an adjustment to how Kirsten Dunst dies.
Same for me. 9 out of 10. I give it an A minus. That's the assignment. Yeah. Some of the dialogue too. There was a little bit too much exposition sometimes, heavy-handed dialogue and early in the movie too. But yeah.
All right.
Alrighty, y'all.
That's it.
Class dismissed.
Do it.